I don't get why artists keep dropping 20 to 30 song long albums. Nobody has time for that, and honestly, it's hurting the music. What's going on, y'all? It's willarmani. Hope everybody's feeling good today. If you are, please make sure to subscribe. Got more content coming on the way. Let's get into it. So firstly, let's talk about the appeal of long albums, because there is one. We have to acknowledge why artists do it, and usually it's because of, one, streaming algorithms usually reward more tracks. I mean, it's been harder and harder for artists to get their first week sales up and to get these numbers up, and a lot of the times these platforms will reward albums that have more tracks on them. So this usually is what's happening. That leads me into my second point, which is it boosts album sales and chart performance. So if artists release these longer projects, a lot of the times it helps them grow on these platforms. And depending on the listener, fans feel like they're getting more content. Fans feel like they're getting more music. I'm saying this all to say I understand the business side to avoid sounding dismissive. I understand the business side of this. I understand that artists need to make their money. Labels need to make their money too. Artists put out these huge projects to run up the bag and then some, but I also think that this sacrifices quality. And this usually leads to all of these albums that are 20, 30, 40 songs long having so much filler, and that's my next problem. The problem with filler. To me, long albums backfire, and usually it's because fans skip tracks or get fatigued. I mean, strong songs get lost in a sea of filler. Emotional or thematic cohesion is often sacrificed. I want to give you a few examples without being overly negative, because all the examples that I'm giving too, I don't have an issue with these artists. I don't have an issue with the music itself, but I do think that we need to start doubling down on the fact that we don't need these huge albums. Recently, Youngboy dropped an album, and keep in mind, I think he just got out of jail. He was pardoned by Trump. There was a whole bunch of things going on, but he released this album and it was 30 songs long. Now, were there great songs on this project? Yes, and I'm a fan of Youngboy. Like, I genuinely am a fan of Youngboy and his music. I listen to Youngboy when I'm working out and when sometimes I'm editing these videos. I like Youngboy's music. But this album was 30 songs long. And then a few weeks later, he also put out an album that was 13 songs long. Now, what I don't understand is why that 30 song long album couldn't have 7 to maybe even 10 tracks cut off from it. The amount of filler is insane, and I think it's the same thing with artists like Gunna, sometimes even Drake. I just don't get why artists throw all of this filler on these projects instead of just making one solid project, because in my opinion, yeah, maybe you don't get crazy first week sales, but long term, if you release an album that instead of having 20 to 30 songs has maybe 10 or 15 and they're all hits and they're all good, those hits might take you so much further than your first week sales numbers looking amazing. So that's why we got to talk about why shorter and hit focused albums work. I mean, the benefits of this are every track will have impact. Fans re-listen more, boosting streams naturally, like we talked about, and it creates stronger anticipation for the next project. To me, artists who have done this in the past, and I'm saying in the past because sometimes they fall off of this radar, are Tory Lanez, where Tory Lanez, when he was out of prison, was releasing projects that were very concise and very within a certain theme, but he let fans hold on to that music and breathe for a little bit before he started flooding. Now he's not doing that. Now he's like flooding every Friday with like 3 or 4 songs, and I'm a really big fan of Tory Lanez, so I'm not gonna lie to you. Maybe I'm a little hypocritical because I don't have a huge problem with Tory doing this, but I also know Tory is just dumping out all of the unreleased and all the Twitch stream songs that he's been holding for years, so I don't mind that. I don't want to counteract my statement, but I also do think that Drake is good at doing this too. Even artists like Tekka and even Travis Scott, these are artists that when they do release albums, even if they're not your favorite thing in the world when they come out, they make statements with these albums because they're not constantly throwing out a bunch of music that has tons of songs, tons of filler. They make sure that these projects have structure. Even if they don't have a full concept, they have a feeling and a world that they put you into, and it's not just a bunch of music that could basically be a playlist. I think we need to encourage artists to rethink quantity over quality. Quality matters, and I think that's being forgotten more and more and more. And it's frustrating for me because I'm a fan of every artist that I talk about. It's not that I don't like these artists, it's not that I don't like the music, and I'm not ever trying to be negative, but I always just want to point out things that I think that could make things better. And one of the biggest problems that I've always had is the last few years we've gotten albums that are 20, 30, even sometimes 40 songs long, and I think that instead of giving these huge projects and these big deluxes with all of these features and all of these things that are sometimes just nonsense and filler, if you want long-term respect and better engagement, you should focus on 10 to 12 songs maybe 15 max that slap instead of 30 that sometimes can drag. And if I tie this to the fan experience, I feel personally that people want to enjoy the album, not just scroll through 20 filler songs. And sometimes when we're getting through these albums, even as fans, I'm listening and I'm like, oh, I like this song. And then I have to get through 3 other songs to get to the next song that I like. Okay, here's the thing, right? Listening and great music and what's good and what's bad, it's all subjective or objective. You guys know what I mean. But it's all relative to your opinion. It's not like everybody's gonna have the same feeling or opinion. But when an artist is releasing albums that are 20 or 30 songs long, there is a point where it's like, okay, there's definitely got to be something on here that didn't need to be added. Because in my opinion, it's not that you can't put out a 20 song long album, but it's very, very difficult to make a 20 song album or a 30 song long album that every single song hits. I mean, it's possible, it's been done before, but it's very rare. I love music, I love rap, and I want to make that very clear. I really do love music, I love rap, and I'm never trying to be negative, but we really need 30 song long albums every time. Would you rather get 12 hits than 30 tracks half-baked? Please just let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know how you feel about this topic. This is a topic that has always interested me, and I hope that artists, even artists who are undiscovered, can learn from something like this that I'm talking about, where you don't need to drop tons of music all at once, and sometimes it's better to be more cohesive and more structured and give quality over quantity. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let's have a discussion. If you're new here, please make sure to subscribe. I got more content coming on the way, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, got both my Instagrams in the description for my music and for my takes. It's been your boy Will Armani. Please stay positive.